Hey everyone. So I'm going to be talking about everything everywhere all at once, and to commemorate that, I am going to eat some hot dogs and an everything bagel. Obviously, spoilers abound, because if you haven't watched this movie, you probably won't get these references, so come back after you watch them, or if you don't care about spoilers, go ahead and keep on watching, but I highly recommend that you watch this movie first, just because everyone should be going to watch this movie. I'm not gonna lie, I'm like really excited because I like love hot dogs.
Everything Everywhere All at Once is a 2022 film starring Michelle Yeoh as Evelyn, a struggling laundromat owner whose life is sort of falling apart at the seams.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know how I feel about eating a bagel with cream cheese right after a hot dog, and so I might just have a little bite of this one and kind of see how it goes. Yeah. Ooh.
Their laundromat is being audited by the IRS. Her incompetent, blundering husband, Wayman, played by Ki Hoi Kwan, is trying to serve her divorce papers, and her relationship with her daughter Joy, played by Stephanie Sue, is strained because Evelyn is too preoccupied with everything else that's going on in her life to acknowledge Joy's relationship with her girlfriend Becky. The story revolves around one visit to the IRS office where they meet Deirdre, an IRS agent played by Jamie Lee Curtis. The main cast is finally rounded out by James Hong, who plays Evelyn's father, Gong Gong.
Okay, so when I tell you how much I love this movie or how much of an impact this movie had on me, I'm really not exaggerating, like at all. Like I knew from when the trailer dropped that I would love this movie. When the reviews initially came out, I was like, no, I know I'm gonna love this movie. And then within the first 5 minutes, I was just like, I'm definitely gonna love this movie. A good part of it has to do with the like physicality of the movie. Like this film made me feel physical things as a viewer, as someone who's sitting in the theater, rather than sitting there and being like a very passive viewer. It was like a physical reaction. You felt shit when you watched the movie. So there's like the physical humor that started from the get-go that's running all the way through the movie. And kind of like the visceral pain that you feel like when they have to do the verse jumps, whether or not it was like eating the used gum or, you know, like the paper cuts on the fingers or sitting and hopping on the trophies, like the straight up just like extreme physical body humor that kind of like made this movie very unique. But because this movie like kind of had that, you felt everything while watching this. Like you felt the secondhand like physical pain, like imagining it. And you know, kind of like the physicality extends to the acting as well. There's these great action sequences, obviously the martial arts scenes, like, and, you know, most of this is credit to Michelle Yeoh, who obviously, you know, besides doing her own stunts and being trained in the martial arts, she has this great like physicality to her acting. So there's the scene where she has to like stay low, squatted down, and then she's like crawling over and she looks like kind of just like this like weird crab, but it's like the scene was like so perfect and I appreciated it so much. So that brings us to the second main point, the fact that this was a love letter to Michelle Yeoh. She is such a great, well, obviously an integral part to this movie, but this movie was really like a love letter to her and like kind of her career. Yeah, and it really was a big showcase of her talents. Like besides talking about, you know, her physical, like, you know, martial arts abilities, you know, so she was able to kind of like flex in that front. We got to see so many different sides to her from this role. Like typically we would just know Michelle Yeoh as kind of like this badass, like 80s, 90s Hong Kong, like action star where, you know, she's like playing alongside like Jackie Chan, and, you know, she's doing her own like martial arts and stuff like that. But this movie really shows just like, one, how talented she is, and two, how just like funny she is. How funny and how humorous she can be, and it's just like kind of like a different side that we don't get to see from her very often. Most notably where they kind of go into the universe where Evelyn basically lives out the life of Michelle Yeoh, the actress, where they kind of like, you know, in like where she's like a movie star in Asia and she's like going to her movie premiere and they like go out in the alleyway. It's very much like one car wide, in the mood for love, sexy, moody, lighting, stuff like that. And they're talking and like looking at each other but a little bit past each other. Like it just captured that mood so perfectly. But yeah, so obviously this movie just like had so much like love and respect and adoration for Michelle Yeoh and her career. Just her playing the comedy so well. Like the part I just like kept dying at was the universe of Rakukuni, because one, you know, you could so easily, I literally can hear it, like either my mom or like a random like older auntie or something like that, like, oh, you know what I mean, like Rakukuni. You're like, no mom, it's Ratatouille, like it is a rat, not a raccoon. And they're like, oh, you know, same difference. So the fact that they were able to kind of just like one, like roll with it and like bring that idea to life, and just like the very concept of it is like so absurd and like ridiculous, but also just like so hilarious and effective. Potential drawback of this movie, you would think that, you know, it could lean too much into the absurd, that it's too zany, that it's too random, that it's like, what am I watching? Is it kind of just like zips from one universe to another? Yeah, well, one, it's like the Daniels, the directors, I think Daniel Kwan's experience with like coming to terms with his ADHD diagnosis, mental picture of what it's like jumping from like idea to idea to idea. But like besides that, it could have easily just been way too like random and empty and without any substance. It kind of balances itself out with this very resonant emotional message that it has. Like it has like a pretty fair amount of like earnestness and like heart in it. And that's mostly, you know, rooted in the relationship. You know, the main theme of this movie is this mother-daughter relationship between Evelyn and Joy, which is going to bring me to my third talking point. The really remarkable depiction of immigrant mother-daughter relationships. Watching Turning Red, and all these movies are just trying to hit me right in the feels with all these freaking immigrant mother-daughter misunderstanding, come to an understanding, love, acceptance, like kind of themes, because they were able to accurately capture the intricacies between the very complicated Asian or immigrant mother and daughter kind of relationship. Like it is complicated to say the least. You know, sometimes like it's like these very kind of almost offhand, insignificant comments, but it can cut the worst when it's coming from your own mom. And like, I don't know one girl that doesn't have kind of like a weird relationship, kind of like a very like tested relationship, complicated relationship with their own mom. But you know, the relationship is still pretty rooted in love, but it's kind of fluctuating and it kind of depends on the day and or the hour and or the minute and or the circumstances. Like why it's captured so well in this movie in particular is that, you know, all Joy wants from her mom is love and acceptance and kind of, you know, being seen for who she is. Evelyn is just, you know, straight up trying to survive right now. You can feel for Evelyn too. Probably so many times where she like looks back, you know, regrets leaving her parents and going to take a chance on this like new life with this dude. But the way that it like resolves is just like punch straight to the heart, you know? It was like all the emotions, all the feels, everything that you just like want to hear. But yeah, maybe that part is the least realistic. JK, LOL. Even though you have broken my heart yet again, I wanted to say, in another life, I would have really liked just doing laundry and taxes with you. How sweet, right? This movie is just A+ overall. Fun watch. Can't recommend it highly enough. What did you think of the movie? Did you enjoy it? Let me know what you think. But yeah, I'm like excited to kind of see new movies coming out. All right, thanks guys. See you in the next one. Also, I eat things kind of weird, where I can't just eat it progressively all the way through. Like, I have to save the last bite to be like kind of a perfect last bite. So it has to have like a little bit of everything. If you eat that in a hot dog, it's just like all bun left. All bun and some like ketchup or something like that. It's not enjoyable. So I have to like kind of eat by both ends so that the last bite is the perfect ratio of everything.